Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're giving you guys a review of This Consequence by Killswitch Engage. So we listened to this album nonstop for an entire week, and I guess I'm going to kind of pick up where we left off. The second half is still awesome. These tracks are just sick. Collusion, this is the one that has the 7/4 chorus, which is so cool, creative. I like that. The bridge, which does sound like a slower version of the bridge from Surfacing by Slipknot, which I mentioned last week, which is pretty cool. And then in that bridge, there's some really cool lower growls, and it happens only a few times on this record. There are those growls also present in The Fall of Us. And when I was listening to these tracks, I'm like, man, that's cool that you've got like the variety of Jesse's vocals on this record are so big. Like he does so many different stuff, so many different growls. The cleans sound great. So usually with this genre of metalcore, you kind of get like a screechier kind of harsh vocal. So to hear growls in there too is like, wow, okay, there's range here, and that's really, really cool.
Yeah.
In the intro of Broken Glass, there's this slower sounding guitar riff, which is juxtaposed by the quick double kick groove that's going on. And I think that's super duper cool because when that song starts, you think this is kind of a slow burner, and then it just explodes, but that guitar riff is still going.
Yeah.
So it's like, whoa, this is really interesting. I'll say once again, Requiem is basically a Lamb of God song, and it's kick-ass. The solo, really, really nice as well. I think that song is a great way to end the album. Especially with the way it starts, just immediately, bam, and he does this scream. I think it's a great way to just kind of go out with a bang for the record.
Yeah.
So, yeah, basically, the second half, I still enjoyed as much as I did previously. So let's talk about the first half.
Okay.
I know you were saying that when, in our first impressions, you were saying the first half started to get a little bit better on
I was warming up to it, yeah.
So how do you feel now after a week of listening to it?
Well, it's still, the second half of the album is still the golden part of this album, and that's, that remains true still. The first half of the album, I think there's definitely stuff there that stands out, and it was growing on me a bit. I think the strongest song in the first half of the album is the opening track, Abandon Us. I think that's the strongest track, and that track kind of fits more in with the strength of the last half of the album. So it's kind of good that it actually is earlier on the album because it gives the first half a little bit more oomph to it.
Yeah.
The first half of the album I found was more about catchy choruses, right? Where the second half of the album was more about just good metal, right? That's kind of how I was seeing it. The biggest I'll talk about the biggest flaw I think on the album is I Believe. I didn't really like this song too much. It's not bad, it's just a bit of a snore. And I feel like I understand why they made it a single, but I wish they didn't. I wish they might have chose something else. It's hard really to knock the song because there's really nothing bad about it. But every time it came on, I was like, all right, I'll get through it, but I know what's coming next.
Exactly, you're excited for what's next, right?
Yeah. Another song that I kind of didn't like at first, but actually grew on me quite a lot is Discordant Nation. That song, when I first was listening to it, I was like, you know what, I'm not really feeling this, but I really like the chorus where they do the blast beats with the clean vocals.
Yeah.
That's a really cool way to have a clean sounding chorus, but also make it sound heavy, right? And they do that again with The Fall of Us. They have blast beats with a clean singing chorus. And I like that combination of sounds, and they do it really well. Another thing I like about Discordant Nation is the bass lines on this song, on a lot of the album actually, were really shining through there, and I just love hearing them just pluck away at those bass strings. And you can really hear it prominent in certain parts, and really adds a lot of beef and a lot of meat to the song, and I was just getting drawn to that more and more through the week. So that one was growing on me. Aftermath, I thought was catchy, but really didn't do anything else for me, right? It's one of those songs where I was like, you know what, I can get behind this chorus because it's kind of anthemic, but the song as a whole, kind of just kept coming and going. Forever Aligned is very similar to that, except Forever Aligned has like a certain aggressiveness to it in the verses that I was also drawn to.
Yeah.
So these songs all like kind of had little elements that I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. But overall as songs, they weren't really hitting the mark for me.
But they had the standout moments so that it kind of keeps you invested. And then when you get
Yeah.
to when it dies, then it's just like game on from there. Justin Foley killed it. He is the drummer for this band, been with them since 2004, like since End of Heartache onwards. I think this is a fantastic drumming performance on this record. I think the way that he approaches the grooves on the album and the way that he's able to make things creative and kind of subvert some of your expectations and kind of make you think, oh, they're doing this, but that is behind it. He does an amazing job with that. I think in regards to fitting with the music, but also making it interesting and even in some senses unconventional, he hits a great sweet spot. Because you can serve the music and it's great. You can, but then, you know, there are some cases where people don't serve the music and that kind of doesn't really jive with what's going on. But what this performance had was serving the songs, but also making them creative and really making these grooves catch your ear or do something that really gets you thinking. Love that. Abandon Us and Discordant Nation, I think, are both really, really strong tracks in this first half. I love them both. I think they could both fit in the second half, like in terms of quality. Abandon Us, the intro riff to this song is so cool. So what they do with the phrasing, it's a bar of 4 and then 2 bars of 6. However, with the way that they kind of hit the shots with this musical phrasing, it's basically 4, 6, 2, 4 with the way that they're hitting the shots. If you count 4, 4, then 6, and then 2, and then 4, it lines up with when they hit the shots. So if you think about it, you could count it, 4 and then 2 bars of 6. But then
also count it 4, 4, 4, 4, 4.
Exactly. You could just count it at 4 and it's fine. But
that's what I did, and that's what it sounded like to me.
Exactly. But based on their phrasing, it's
how
like
they phrase it, yeah.
They're kind of making it 4, 6, 2, 4.
Interesting.
But then it all adds to 12, so you could just count 4 throughout the whole thing and it works. So it's cool because if you're gonna, the way they wrote it, it was most likely 4, 6, 2, 4. But if these guys are playing on stage, they might not even be counting it that way, the way they understand it.
It's true. So would you call it a straight 4/4 song? Would you say that they're switching to triple meter?
Well, considering that the way that the phrases are in this intro riff, I wouldn't be surprised if 4, 6, 2, 4
was the actual
count, considering how those phrases are. But you could count it in different ways and just do like these weird kind of accents in weird places.
Exactly.
So you can kind of see it in a few different ways, but I really think that's cool. And I think it's especially cool that all this could be counted under just 4/4 and that's it.
Yeah. A simple counter like me that's how I do it.
So it's really cool that the way that the numbers kind of line up with like this could be you could count this in a weird polyrhythmic way or not.
Yeah.
It's just the way the numbers interact with each other. Because it all adds to 12.
It does.
Divided by 4, right?
And it really just depends on where the accents are and where the emphases are in the music.
Yeah, it's 16. Well, numbers are wrong. It all adds to 16.
Yeah.
Which divided by 4 is 4.
Divided by 4, yeah.
So, numbers. Anyway, I agree with you on I Believe. I think it is probably the worst track on the album. However, I do think that this song, while I wasn't huge on it, and every time it came on, I'm just like, whatever, I'm looking forward to what's next. It does serve its purpose on this album.
It does.
As the mid-album softer break, it does serve its purpose. So it's not a track I would remove.
No.
It was just not one that I would
just like it to be a little bit stronger, that's all.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Discordant Nation, I like that one as well. About the blast beats you mentioned, I like that too. Really, really cool song. Aftermath is another one that kind of just was at whatever for me. I feel similar on Forever Aligned, but I think I mentioned this before that I don't think the chorus really fits super well with the rest of the song. Kind of feels like two separate things stitched together, but the verses of that song are sick. The ferocity of that, loved that. So, and I mentioned, the guitar solo in Requiem. I think, in general, the guitar solos on this record are pretty fun. Like, anytime someone's doing a solo on this record, I'm like, yeah, this is fun, because it's already a fun song for a cool, fun solo to go along with it. It's just overall a strong experience of a track.
Yeah, I think even riff-wise, the album's got some good stuff on there. And I mean, Killswitch has always been a band that's had strong riffs and strong solos. I think the solo in Requiem is the best solo on the album, so I'll just double down on that. But yeah, I talked a little bit about, so you asked me about the first half, how I felt about it. The second half, though, I want to talk a bit about that, because I have some thoughts and feelings about that. So track number 6, Where It Dies, is where, in my opinion, it picks up. If I was Killswitch Engage in 2025, this is how I'm starting my set list. I'm starting my set list with this song because I think that'd be a great opener to a show. I mentioned the bass earlier. This is a good example. You just hear the bass strings just plucking along, and it just drives the song, makes it heavy, gives it some just body, and I just love it. Best riffs on the album, I think, in that song. Total banger. Collusion is still my favorite song. This song's hard to beat. It's got that 7/4 chorus, which stands out on the album because there's not a lot of variation other than the one you just mentioned, which is still kind of a 4/4 thing. This is not. This stands out because it's definitely, it sounds different. There's another minor thing. There's a 3/4 6/8 in the Fall of Us chorus, which is another kind of variation from the 4/4 standard. But other than that, there's not a lot of deviation sound signature-wise, time signature-wise. But Collusion is just such an awesome song. Why did I play this right away? There's a voice crack. Jesse's voice cracks at 127, and it's the cream of the crop.
So good.
It's such a happy accident that happens on the album, and I'm so glad they left things like that in there because it just sounds so perfect. It just makes it.
Adds to the overall experience really well.
Exactly. I mentioned a couple things about the Fall of Us with the blast beats and the clean chorus. A lot of this song just sounds like straight up death metal. Like some of the musical composition that's happening and stuff like that, it gets pretty heavy, but they still have, I mean, they don't do the whole song like that, but it gets pretty mean.
Like if you took away the melodic aspects of that song, it could pass for a straight up just death metal song. Get some growls on it and it's like, wow, this is a completely different song just from that swap.
Exactly.
Because of how it's composed.
Exactly. And Broken Glass, which you also mentioned, has a similar vibe where it's kind of toned down. It's slower tempo. It's a lot more mean sounding.
It's slower, but not because of the drums.
Because the drums are adding speed to it. Exactly.
Yes,
so
but
you're
not
getting a bit of both worlds, but it makes it unique. And then Requiem. Great closing track. Just overall, just great, awesome stuff. Got blast beats in there. You got great riffs. The opening riff with the blast beats in between was really cool.
And the scream.
The screams on point, and he's just screaming, "This is not a requiem," and that's basically saying like, "This is not the end. Don't be sad. We'll be back." Like
exactly.
this is not the end.
Like we're not gonna. Like I was reading the lyrics. It's basically like, "Nah, we're not giving up.
We're
like,
not done.
This is not the end.
We got more." Yeah. So, overall, half the album's super strong. The other half has good moments, but the songs are not the best. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my overall take on it.
Well, with that, I guess let's rate the album. So, would you like to go first? Continue that thought.
Sure, I'll go first. So I guess I just kind of encapsulated my thoughts on the album. I'll just say that with the second half being so strong and those few standout parts in the first half of the album, even despite I Believe being quite a weak track, it still lands in toe tag territory for me. So it gets my toe tag. Great album, awesome stuff.
So I really felt like this was a step up from the last record. And I think one big thing that does that is memorability. Because if I recall, I didn't look back at a review of the last record, Atonement, but I recall thinking like, there's not much in this album that jumps out. This album, almost all of it jumps out.
It jumps out.
And there's so many cool ideas, cool moments, cool composition. It gets my toe tag as well. Who would have thought that Killswitch Engage finally making the toe tag list?
I've seen a few people saying this is Killswitch's best album to date.
I've seen mixed opinions on this record. I see a lot of people say that I can't get into it. A lot of people saying it's amazing. Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's probably one of, if not their best albums to date. Because like I said, I've tried getting into this band a few times, and I only tend to like a few songs here or there. This is the first time I've listened to Killswitch and really enjoyed the album from front to back.
Yeah.
And really got into it. Like this album did it for me.
Yeah, no, we let us know in the comments after a week what your thoughts are, because like I said, it seems like it was mixed, but we both loved it. Congrats to Killswitch Engage for making the list of 2 toe tag albums with this one. We both loved it. Anyway, guys, that's all we got for you today. So comment, let us know your thoughts, and subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. I'm TV Fish.
By yourself.
We'll see you guys later.